Hi and welcome to this edition of Out of the Box. My name is Paul. Today we're going to have a look at what is in this small Starlink box. This is a question we get asked a lot, so I just thought it'd be good to show you what you get in the box. This is the optional Ethernet adapter for your Starlink router for the Gen 2, so the rectangular dish. Things may change slightly in due course with some of the new routers, but this is currently what we need. If you've got the round dish, you already have an aux port generally on your setup, which is where you can then connect other network equipment. But when you've got a router that looks like this and has only got two connectors on the bottom there, then you need this Ethernet adapter to be able to connect another network, a switch or point-to-point bridges or something like that. So very simple. What you get in the box is you get a little get started guide here, which just shows you some cabling options. Very simple. And then you get the device itself, if we can call it a device. All right, so it's generally wound up like that. All right, so we just need to disconnect this end. That's just there for the way they store it. So that's what we've got. We've got our Ethernet adapter. We've got a meter of cable on it. This end here is going to go into our satellite dish, and this end here will give us our Ethernet out. This is not to replace your current router. Your router still needs to be in line. It still needs to be powered on. So please just follow some of this just so we know that we get it the right way around. Often this is the bit that fall over for people and we end up having a router or a network that doesn't work. So we've got our router. We've got two power connector, or a power connector and coming in from our satellite dish here. Remember, on this router we think that it has lots of lights to tell us it's connected. Nothing actually happens there. The only indicator we've got is a tiny little light down here that's on. So what you will need to do before you change this around, make sure your dish is in the stow position. So you need to go into your Starlink app and then use the option in there to stow it. Once it is stowed, I would suggest you turn the power off. All right, so this is your power. This is your dish cable coming in here. So we're going to disconnect that from our router. All right, so we now have our spare port there. So this goes in line. So this is still our cable from our router, from our dish. All right, and here is now our extender. It's going to add in our Ethernet port. So we're going to take this, again, coming from our dish, is now going to plug, hopefully I've got that the right way around. Yep, that's now going to plug into our optional Ethernet adapter. So we've got dish, Ethernet adapter, as we can see, Ethernet on this side, and then the cable that is left over from that, this end here, is going to plug into our router. So let's take our router here, and again, hopefully I can show you, that's just going to plug in, doing this sideways, there we go, that's going to plug in there. Sometimes it takes a little bit of fiddling around to get it to line up. It has to go in flush with the power on that side. It's now in place. So let's just remind how that has gone. We've got our cable from our dish out on the roof or wherever, plugged into our Ethernet adapter. There's our Ethernet port, and then the other end of that cable is plugged into here. We can now power this up, all right, and we now can make use of this extra Ethernet port. We can plug in our TP-Link decos or Orbeez. We can plug in a network switch, some Rugy point-to-point, some Ubiquiti in-house Wi-Fi, and that's going to give us the flexibility we want now to add Ethernet devices to extend what we're doing with inside our property. So hopefully that's been useful. That is the Starlink optional Ethernet adapter. Head on over to our YouTube channel. Plenty more box openings on wireless network and firewall devices. There's some great guides on setting up Starlink and adding in options for improving wireless in your house or extending it to another property as well. So why don't you subscribe and stay up to date?